What gave you the idea for your book, Secrets in the Dark?
Well, I'm going to start by the premise. The book is not me. Lots of people have asked, is it me? So, no. The premise of the book was always going to be the story of a celebrity stylist. And it was going to, the original idea was going to be a bit like the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, where Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and her sister took over her life. However, the book, as the characters evolved, the book evolved. So the book became this story about two girls set in the 70s, between the 1970 and 1980. And what happens to a friendship where everyone has secrets and the secrets overtake their friendship because they don't want to tell anyone what awful things have happened to them. And the things that happen to them change the courses of their lives and take them on a roller coaster ride from the King's Road, Chelsea, to Paris, Los Angeles, south of France. Very sort of glamorous locations, but there's also the dark side as well, because they both go through various traumas. And I thought I'd read you a little extract here.
That would be great, thank you.
So the story is about two protagonists, Phoebe, who's the poor little rich girl, and Paula, who's the girl from the wrong side of the tracks. And this is Paula. This is a chapter on Paula, 1970 to 1971. A woman in a nurse's uniform appeared from the inside of the building and surveyed her new arrival with cold, uncaring eyes. Eyes that had seen so many unmarried pregnant girls like Paula arrive and leave from her establishment for years now. Good morning, Paula. I'm Matron Mary. Paula looked at the woman and didn't feel a single kindly vibe emanating from her, only cold clinical efficiency. Follow me, please, and I'll give you a quick tour. You'll need to know where everything is, as you'll be living with us for the next few months until the birth. The matron's words echoed around the dark, wood-panelled hall interior, which smelt strongly of fresh furniture polish. Paula instantly knew that this particular smell would always remind her of the moment she'd walked in here for the rest of her life. She followed uncharacteristically meekly after the woman, climbing the steps of the grand, sweeping mahogany staircase to her new future. She felt like she'd time traveled and was no longer in the 1970s, but somewhere back in Victorian times. The matron strode purposely on ahead, her sensible flat lace-up shoes squeaking on the shiny polished parquet floors. She finally stopped at huge double doors and with some effort pushed one slightly ajar. This is our recreation room. The matron waited for Paula to step forward and have a better look. Paula peered over the woman's shoulder through the half-open doorway, where she could see a group of girls in various stages of pregnancy, sitting around a long trestle table strewn in magazines and coffee mugs. Some girls were smoking and others drinking and chatting, but they all had the same distracted and disengaged look in their sad eyes. They all looked up as one and glanced towards Paula at the open door. Paula tried smiling at their direction, but they all looked back down as quickly as they'd looked on and returned their attention back to wherever they'd begun doing. Maybe friendliness wasn't allowed here, Paula thought to herself, but she'd just become one of those women now, and they didn't look as they were filled with too much joy, laughter, or hope. Suddenly she felt properly scared of what her future may hold. Meanwhile, Matron had marched on ahead of her on a mission to finish this newest inmate's tour as quickly as possible. This is the dormitory, and this is your bed. Paula looked aghast at the narrow cot bed with the two worn blankets folded in a pile on the end of it. She thought back to her lovely, comfy double bed in her own bedroom at home, with all her pop posters on the wall. She wondered how her life could suddenly have been so quickly reduced to this, all from one stupid pill not working. Right, now you've seen everything, you need to come with me for a medical check for any venereal diseases. Matron's instructions were delivered in a voice so devoid of any warmth or feeling that Paula wondered if she'd been born this way or had this grim and grey foreboding building moulded her into this grim and grey, cold and heartless person. Paula looked at this woman in horror. Why would she have anything wrong with her? She was simply pregnant. Girls like her didn't get diseases down there. How much worse could this get? She'd learnt how to be resilient and keep the peace from living with her dad and his drunken mood swings, so she prepared for whatever was thrown at her in this dismal and depressing place. She knew that it would be easier to keep doing exactly as she was told until it was the right time to reassess the situation, and now wasn't the time. She needed to have the baby first. She decided there and then she wouldn't argue or be combative. If it meant someone checking her girly bits, then she'd have to suffer it. She quickly learned how to survive there. No one bothered to talk to her, even though she tried to talk to them. Maybe it was because all the girls knew that this place was simply a transitory moment in their life, a miserable memory to be discarded as soon as possible. So by trial and error, she quickly discovered that she needed to get up every day at 7 o'clock for breakfast, after a quick wash at the communal basin, separated only by modesty partition screens. To keep her sanity, Paula quickly realized that she needed alone time to think, so she regularly tried to book a weekly bath in the one and only tub. It was the one time she could ever get away from the other girls. The matron made it very clear that Paula's daily chores were both her penance and payment for being looked after there, together with the Sunday church visits. As a Catholic girl, she'd been happy going to church when her mum was alive, but that had stopped soon afterwards. She wondered why God could have been so cruel to have taken away the person she loved most. Paula wasn't sure God was doing much at all to look after her now, as the chores given to her were all really hard, but she was strong and healthy and hardly showing even at 7 months, so she set to work without grumbling. She scrubbed floors and stairwells and fetched buckets of coal or water with others doing the same. Even on the day they went into labour, Paula had read enough books to wonder if she'd returned to Dickensian times, and had to pinch herself every so often as a reality check. But she kept reminding herself it wasn't forever. The moment her baby was born, she'd be gone. She tried to imagine how she could escape to go and live somewhere with a baby, using her meagre savings to start off with. She was sure that she'd managed to squirrel enough to keep them going for a few weeks until she could find a job of some sort. She had to keep positive and keep her dream alive.
Thank you. That's good. I mean, that was I read the book, as you know, so I read all that. It was very sad that it could happen in those days. Really bad.
I was shocked because I didn't even realise that was the 70s and it was still happening.
Yeah, I'm sure certain things are still going on today. Is there any part of Secrets of the Dark that are you? I mean, are you Phoebe?
So Phoebe is 5'2", redhead, quite dumpy, curvy, and with lots of wavy, very wavy red hair. And I'm 5'6", blonde, not so dumpy. Phoebe was very unloved by her parents, very unwanted. And I was a very much wanted child. My mother had multiple miscarriages to even get to have me. I was the very much wanted child. Hence, I went everywhere with them. So, and very much loved and overprotected, if you like. So, and Phoebe was properly unloved and uncared for, and literally poor little rich girl who no one cared for, apart from Mrs. Abbott, the housekeeper, who was really her mummy. Yeah, so, no, definitely not. However, as I suppose I can call myself an author now, when you write, you take things that you've seen in real life, not necessarily lived. I was never raped. I shall say that as well. I've never had drugs problems, nor have I had mental health problems. There's a lot of coercion, relationship coercion. God, it sounds a bit dark, the book, but it isn't all. There is trauma in it, and I've been lucky enough to have a really quite blessed and privileged life. And so no, but I did see a lot of things. I was a Deb, a debutante. So when Phoebe is a Deb, I obviously could take my own experiences as a Deb and all the amazing houses and parties and balls I went to. And indeed, I still have all my Deb diaries, so I did check back at things I might have done. I did.
Don't regret being a Deb then. You enjoyed that.
It was amazing then. I was never there to find a husband. Neither was Phoebe. But the experience of going then, it was like another world, of the parties and the people you met and the places you went to were extraordinary. The school I went to was on the King's Road. So again, there is some synergy there. I did go to most of the clubs and the locations mentioned, and I did live in Paris. I did live in LA too. And so I did again see a lot of things, but I did not experience them in the same way as I shall say Phoebe or Paula, who has huge amounts of trauma going on in her life. Those were not me.
Oh, okay. Have you ever written a book before?
I've written lots of self-help books. I still have one out there which is called Discover the New You, Celebrity Stylist Secrets to Transform Your Life and Style, which is all about how to be the best version of yourself, color, shape, style, positivity, all the things like that. And also obviously I'd written in magazines and I had columns. The Express magazine Sunday, I had a column called In the Closet With, which I created, which was for a few years, still going. So yes, I have written, but it's very different writing fact to fiction, because you have to get into the minds of your characters, which is how my story evolved once I realized what the characters might be doing when I got into their mindset. And also I learned a lot on the way because of how to do dialogue, which is quite hard because you can't keep on the head saying he said, she said. And the key of apparently that makes a better book, show not tell. When you do your descriptions, you have to understand and create a picture, paint a picture with the words, not just a description.
Okay. And how long
does it last on the way?
How long does it take to write?
So I had a house in the Isle of Wight up till last October, which my view was a swimming pool with palm trees. So every summer when I was there, I would sit by the pool and start writing, and it evolved and it evolved, and I'd put it down and I'd lose interest or lose the will to live really on it. And then during lockdown, and then I had an editor on it who I thought I'd finished it, and she went, no, not finished. And I thought, I can't do this again. 400 pages, I can't rewrite again. And then during lockdown, when I was really quite ill at the beginning with, who knows, COVID possibly, and I couldn't even concentrate for longer than 15 minutes at a time, I needed to find something to get me up each day and give me some positivity. And I looked at the book again and thought maybe, and then I happened by pure serendipity to find an editor who had a moment, who said, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. So I said, please just read it. Anyway, she fell in love with the book and said, okay, I will give you homework. So she gave me chapter by chapter homework, and I sat all the way through from probably April till August doing a complete rewrite edit on it, and we published it last August. So that was my lockdown, which got me up every day, and sat and wrote it in the garden, my London garden.
How did you end up with an agent and a publishing deal now? And it's unusual to get one when you've already published.
Absolutely, really unusual. So I've been doing my own social media on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and it had got a lot of it's got sort of nearly 50 really 4 and 5-star reviews on Amazon. And I kept on, it's very hard to find an agent because apparently all agents were getting up to 500 submissions a week.
Oh, wow.
Because everyone's written a novel, everyone's written something in lockdown, or everyone who'd waited finally has. So all the agents were going, no, not for us. And then suddenly my old agent, who was actually for factual books, self-help books, not fiction, said, oh, why don't you try this agent? Anyway, so this agent, I rang, I didn't even email her, and she answered the phone. Well, this is unusual, a person, a human, and not an email, especially in these COVID times. So she said, no, too busy, I'm not really interested. Why should I be bothered to read your book? So I gave her my sales pitch. I think it's called an elevator pitch in book speak. And she said, okay, send it over to me and I'll read it. Anyway, so I sent it over, and she came back to me 5 days later saying, I love it. I'm going to look for a publisher for you. I really love it. I think it's a Jackie Collins type of book, which is very timely escapism. And lo and behold, I get a phone call 2 weeks ago, got a proper serious big publisher who's bought it.
Wow.
Contracts are in the middle of saying, so I can't tell you who it is, and is as excited as I am.
Good.
And then the Mail Online picked it as one of the top 5 raunchy spring reads of the spring. And then the best of all, I'm going to blow my own trumpet now. So yesterday There's a writer called, oh, what her name? What's her name? Fiona Walker, who's written like 20 books very successfully, and she reviewed it. So, and she wrote, there's something fantastically indulgent about reading a rip-roaring, gold-plated, sizzling bonkbuster, and this is no exception. It's full of terrific detail about 70s London, so much so that you can smell the waft of Charlie and MG exhaust fumes along the King's Road. And I enjoyed all the name drops from Chrissie Hynde to Jagger. The author certainly knows her stuff about the world of high-class fashion styling, the many details which bring it all to life. Action jets off around the world with satisfying speed, and it's got plenty of sex, drugs, and rock and roll to keep pulses up. The central characters of Paula and Phoebe are written with obvious affection, and their story shows the enduring strength of a teenage friendship forged in adversity on Carnaby Street and in platform heels. The perfect antidote to woke. This is one for Jackie Collins fans everywhere who are missing the glitz.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm thrilled by that.
Well done, that girl. That's amazing. Are there any tips for would-be writers?
You've got to be really thick-skinned for every single rejection that comes back at you. And if anyone's ever had homework from school rejected and sent back, it's like that. And you do lose the will to live, because you truly, when you finished it and you get to the last page, you think, yes, I've done it. And then you get told no, back to the drawing board. You really, really need, it's actually a full-time job. And you need to have your phone switched off, no emails coming in. In fact, the only way I could write was getting up at 6:30 in the morning and doing it through the morning before I got interruptions, because I forgot. And when I had builders here, it was quite awkward writing there are some quite naughty sex scenes in it, with the builders in the room asking me, where are you, mate? Where should we put this plug? And I'm writing some raunchy sex scene.
And will there be a sequel, Cheryl?
Yeah, there is already a sequel synopsisized, and I'm ready to start writing in the next few weeks. It will be a follow-up.
Most importantly, where can we buy it?
You could buy it on Amazon,